It's just like I forgive the ones that do things like different reenactments of the Bible, like Jonah being cast out of the boat and Judas kissing Jesus and uh, the three wise men, etc., etc. I forgive him. I forgive him for being hypocrites. I forgive him for creating stumbling blocks in my life. I forgive him for lying to me about medical and dental procedures. And veterinary procedures. I forgive him for uh, mocking what a for blackmailing children into having sex with a bunch of sexual predators. I forgive him for um, acting dumb about. I forgive the pharmacist for. I forgive a pharmacist for acting dumb about date rape kits. I mean, about date rape drugs. I forgive him for controlling color of ink that I could use. I forgive him for telling me to sign when the living autograph. I forgive him for giving preferential treatment to lawyers. I forgive him for refusing to give me my part of public utilities. I forgive him for refusing to give me constitutionally protected Social Security. I forgive him for breaking my arm. I forgive him for stealing my DNA for no known medical procedure except to put in a crime scene that I didn't commit in order to charge me for a crime that I didn't commit. I forgive him for not disclosing to me what they were actually doing. I forgive him for saying we have things covered and not disclosing to me why I was told not to bring anything and what they were actually doing. I forgive him for lying about what has been stolen and extorted from accounts for my benefit as a gift or a donation. I forgive them for not disclosing to me that pledge means to volunteer or work for free or be a slave. I forgive them for laughing at me and calling me a push-button nigger. I forgive them for telling me to go out in the woods and go pee with a bunch of guys and making me have to run off the bus in order not to pee on myself. I forgive them for only wanting to push the Torah or the Old Testament or the Noahide laws or the 613 Mishnah laws or the Talmudic laws or the Sharia laws, and instead of looking at the intent of why, instead of realizing why it is that God manifested himself in the flesh and Jesus came to earth. I forgive him for lying about Jesus being in hell and burning excrement. I forgive him for using my personal identifiers on accounts that I don't control, and doing things like I mean, there's a bunch of stuff I forgive him for. That's the reason why when one of them was talking about victim, I'm like, I've been victimized, but it doesn't mean I'm a victim. I've been hoodwinked and I've been conned and I've been taken unfair advantage of, but it doesn't mean that I'm a victim. I've been retaliated against, but it doesn't mean I'm a victim. I've been hazed, I've been gaslighted, I've been poisoned. I've been forced to take my clothes off when I didn't want to take my clothes down. There's been several attempted rapes. I forgive them. It doesn't mean I want to be with them. Which comes to what I think, and that is, I think reconciliation is with God. And I think that's what the straight and narrow path is about. And I think that's the reason why I was bullied when I spoke about prayers, or when I talked to God. And that's the reason why I went running out of the room. I was being bullied, but not only that, it's just like that's my definition of prayers, is when I talk to God. I'm not saying that whoever I'm out there is God, no. And just like I could write different books on different things, but that's not what God wants me to do. Just like if God had wanted me to be a medical doctor, I'd be a medical doctor. If God had wanted me to be a nurse, I'd be a nurse. If God had wanted me to be a stockbroker, I would have been a stockbroker. If God had wanted me to be an accountant, I would have been an accountant. If God had wanted me to be in public office, I'd be in public office. If God had wanted me to be on the top of the totem pole, I would have been on the top of the totem pole in one of their corporations. And I would have had the keys to any of the buildings. But basically, God didn't want me to do that. If God had wanted me to be in management in order to oppress who was below me, then God would have had me in management in order to oppress the people below management. God didn't want me to do that. Just like God didn't want me to be what's called a CEO. Uh-uh. But basically, if God had wanted me to be what's called a CEO, God would have made me a CEO. And that's the reason why I started reading more in the Bible about oppression. I'm not going to sit there and oppress people and make my time more valuable than somebody else's time and be a hypocrite. And what else what else would I call somebody that pays people for working with a piece of paper with ink on it, or called a diploma or grades. I mean, think about that. If God had wanted me to be a school administrator and intentionally keep books and classes and samples from people and intentionally neglect to educate, God would have made me a school administrator. I forgive him.